Battlefield Hardline is a spin-off for the long-running shooter series, and it's brought to us by Viseral Games, makers of Dead Space.
For this outing, Viseral have gone AWOL from the series' traditional military theme.
All right, this is the one.
Instead, putting us in the shoes of friendly neighborhood police officer Nick Mendoza.
Mendoza is a fresh-faced detective working his first big case, tracking down the source of cocaine that's been flooding the streets of Miami.
So that coke you and Stoddard hooked came from Colombia, direct over the water. And we haven't seen that in a while. It's all Mexican transit these days.
It's nice to see Viseral doing something a bit different and trying their hands at a gritty cop drama, and they've gone all out with a TV show style presentation. Every mission is an episode, and when you quit or come back, you get the whole next time on Hardline.
Next time on Hardline.
And previously on.
Previously on Hardline.
I especially liked that intro. It reminded me of The Wire so much. Overall, though, the story is pretty cliched, and I found a lot of it quite cheesy. It's the old one good cop in a world full of corruption tale. I never really warmed to any of the characters, but there's some great performance capture and solid acting.
Congrats on a job well done.
Smart lady. Now I see why.
Yeah, it's all a little bit predictable for sure, but I'm glad they've tried to up the quality of the campaigns because they've always been a bit underwhelming in the past.
Yeah, that's true, but I think that's even more reason why they needed to knock this one out of the park, but it's full of problems. The biggest issue with the campaign is that the story gets in the way of letting you play too often. All the action is sandwiched between a lot of unskippable cutscenes and filler gameplay, like driving around a swamp for ages. At least let me run over some alligators or something.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those driving sections where they try to set up some really cool moment, but I always find myself just ruining it somehow.
Let's go, let's go. Turn left on Crocker from Mateo.
Gotta give the lady what she wants.
Nailed it.
Shut up. I did like some of the ideas though, like how you can go in stealthily or guns blazing.
Hands up.
Your badge is often a far more effective weapon than any gun, letting you catch groups of 3 unaware baddies with a single flash. You're nicked, son.
I got the other one.
But without spoiling too much, around halfway through the game you very much stop being a police officer, and yet you can still arrest people, which seemed odd to me.
Put your hands up. Hey! Don't...
He's taken the law into his own hands.
And where am I getting all of these handcuffs from? It's an unlimited supply.
It does seem a bit odd that all of these heavily armed thugs that usually outnumber you suddenly just drop their weapons because you shouted freeze.
Freeze. Stay right where you are. What's going on?
The stealth mechanics are pretty simple too. For starters, the AI is painfully oblivious, letting you arrest someone clearly within earshot of his buddy without them even noticing.
Hands up. Keep them up.
Whoa, whoa, you got it.
This isn't a major criticism, but it just pulls me out of the game.
You can also mark enemies with your scanner, which lets you see them and their cones of vision on your minimap. They have almost no peripheral vision though, and if you're more than about 20 meters in front of them, they won't see you. And even if they do see you, they're pretty slow on the uptake.
Freeze. Don't fucking move.
What?
That's not how sight works, is it?
No, not really.
Stop.
Enemies are also placed pretty deliberately, so you can usually see how you're supposed to move through a room, arresting everyone. But in case it does get slightly complicated, you can just throw a bullet casing to lure out an enemy. And conveniently, it only draws one guy's attention at a time, so you can just kite enemies to a secluded spot to arrest them one by one.
Stop. You're under arrest.
You got it. You got it.
But Battlefield isn't really a place for stealth anyway. My approach is much more excessive. shame there's such a big focus on stealth. The game really encourages you to play that way by giving you big rewards for arrests and no rewards for kills, making it much slower to unlock gear if you go in guns blazing.
It was good to see some of the level design opening up though.
Looks like there's a place to climb in on the left.
There are still plenty of linear sequences, but quite often you'll find multiple paths you can take. And if you equip the grapple hook and zipline, then you can even make your own paths. Also, the series' trademark destruction makes for some tense shootouts when enemies can literally shoot their way through walls.
This level design isn't as open as, say, Battlefield Bad Company's first campaign, but it's still a move in the right direction. Less linear corridors and more big battlefields for Battlefield games.
Hey, man.
We expected quite a lot from this campaign, as it seemed to be the primary focus of Hardline. And it didn't quite live up to all of our expectations, which is a shame. But I still enjoyed the ride hex. But let's see how the multiplayer stacks up.
Woohoo!
I'm the shotgun bandit. I'm going. 125 is all I want to take. That's all I feel safe taking. Are you with me, Goose?
Cool.
Shoot them.
Hang on. RPG.
Oh, go, 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 go. No! Eat medkits. Eat them. Oh, yeah.
Well, it seems like they've walked a pretty fine line here, trying to change things up and create something new for the series, while also playing it safe and, you know, keeping it familiar for long-time fans.
So much so that when we played the beta, it felt more like a substantial mod than a separate game. It's unmistakably Battlefield, with loads of unlocks, vehicles, and destructive mayhem, but with that cops and robbers theme.
Took out armed suspect.
Heist is the main new attraction, which has the Crims trying to crack into a vault and steal the loot and get to the chopper, while the cops try and stop them.
Hotwire is basically Conquest on wheels, where you need to get into marked vehicles and get them up to speed to start scoring points.
Blood Money is a kind of continuous spin on Capture the Flag. There's a giant pile of cash on the map that you have to get to and return to your vault.
I want that vault.
All while the enemy is free to raid your vault unless you protect it.
They're hitting our vault.
I found this mode a bit messy, but kind of in a good way, and there are some fun times to be had, especially when you catch the enemy and they're all just at the vault and you surprise them. There's also Rescue, which is a lot like Counter-Strike's hostage mode, where everyone has one life and the cops need to rescue hostages.
All units, officer, and transport with the hostage.
I quite liked this mode, even though there is a bit of downtime, of course.
Yeah, and it's nice to have a bit of that Counter-Strike one life stress in there. Crosshair is essentially Counter-Strike's VIP mode, where the cops need to escort a VIP to an extraction zone while the Crims try to take him out. But hard as we tried, we couldn't find anyone playing that mode at the time of review. Yeah, all up, I think it's a pretty good range of new modes.
Yeah, me too. And it still has all of those Battlefield moments.
The crane is coming down.
That chaos is well and truly alive. Explosions everywhere, people parachuting out of skyscrapers, and vehicles tearing across maps.
I hit a suspect.
It always gets the blood pumping, although I did die a lot in Hardline.
Yeah, me too, but it's always hard going early on in Battlefield before you have any unlocks.
Got a band.
But some modes in particular are so frustrating because it feels like you spend more time dead than alive.
Medkit ready.
Yeah, and I think that might turn some people off, but it also might turn some people on. Hardline has a faster, more chaotic pace. Maps tend to be more intimate and close quarters. The gunplay is more akin to Call of Duty than Battlefield. It's like a weird hybrid. Don't expect this to be about Levolution. This really, for me, was all about shotguns and escape plans.
I just don't think the extensive unlock system works for Hardline. You know, I want to get in there and play with the fun stuff and have a good time playing cops and robbers. I don't want to spend hours grinding cash for this type of game.
Yeah, I get that, and I do tend to agree with you, but also those unlocks just add such longevity to a game like this, and I always miss them when they're not there. It gives you something to aim for, something new to play with each time you log in. Final thoughts, Hex?
Well, I think Hardline is a solid spin-off. It's polished and thankfully free of the launch issues that plagued BF4 for like a year. But it's also kind of forgettable, so I'm giving it 2.5.
Yeah, it is a bit undercooked, but you know, it's got a decent campaign and decent multiplayer, so I'm going to give it 3 stars. Everything's a stopgap until Battlefront anyway.
All around a decent game. You should put that on the box.
Decent.
Decent. Budget from Good Game.
2015, decent.
I want you two to bring him in for a little chat.
Sir, Mendoza's last run in the field, no offense, was a total clusterfuck.
And now over to the news with Goose.